Ladies and gentlemen, the newest hero to Paragon has just been announced, Wukong.
An honorable student demonstrates many virtues. He shows strength, cunning. Most of all, he shows wisdom and respect.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, Wukong is here. So, ladies and gentlemen, the ridiculous, out of nowhere melee carry has been revealed. Unbelievably, yeah, this guy is not only connected to Feng Mao, but has a very interesting new mechanic in the game. Please, I hit myself in the head, so please don't be too distracted by that. Now, Wukong and Feng Mao used to be traveling companions. When Wukong became too much to handle, Feng Mao trapped him in a cave and left. 100 years later, Wukong is free and on his way to Agora to resume aggravating Feng Mao. As you can see, he's kind of being a little tease here. Wukong is a deadly and elusive melee carry capable of farming faster than any other hero. Now, I'm trying to figure out what role, what purpose, what sort of niche he fills out, and we're going to talk about it more once we go through all of his abilities. So, Wukong brings us a new mechanic, and that is stance swapping. He can change stances and kind of have alternate effects for his abilities. So his E or circle ability is control aggression. It's a passive, grants bonus CP to a random minion in the area upon last hit. I'm gonna hope that there is some visual icon that's glowing gold or something like that. Hopefully it's quite obvious. That's going to make it very important for you to last hit those targets and try to maybe focus down that target and then the next target that has it. Just make sure that you get those last hits particularly. Now there's a toggle to this ability. The Monkey King swaps between offensive and defensive stances. The defensive stat says def and off offensive. So I'm assuming you're going to have a little indicator above your health bar, or maybe it says on the ability, it'll either say def or off. That way you can see visually what stance he's in. Now his RMB R1 ability is Staff of Legend. You extend your polearm. If you're in the offensive stance, your polearm deals damage and pushes enemies back the length of the staff. So as you can see, it's quite long, this long staff, and you see it used here on this Grim as well as the other ability. He walks over and pushes him into the tower, and the Grim dies. You can see that it's kind of an odd animation, if I'm going to be honest, with the staff kind of becoming really big and really long. It's kind of odd. I was kind of like, that's kind of weird, but it does look pretty darn cool. If you're in the defensive staff, Wukong plants his staff and launches himself into the air with a directional jump. So, depending on which way you are pressing forward, back, side to side, he will leap in that direction. And you'll see here, you see at one point he does that against a Richter pull. You can definitely be using this just like Aurora's Frozen Simulacrum. You can definitely use this to get away from skill shots. So I think Wukong, especially with the defensive stances and stuff, is going to be a very high skill cap hero. Now this next ability here is Cloud Walker. It's a Q or square ability. You grant the Monkey King, if there's a passive component, grants the Monkey King a double jump. So you can jump once and then jump again. If you're in the offensive stance, the jump will end with a slam into the ground, which deals damage and slows enemies. defensive stance is going to be he is able to walk on air following the jump. So that was, you just saw his offensive one where he brings where he slams into the ground and deals damage and slows enemies. So he does have some crowd control built in there. Now, the defensive one, he's able to walk on the air following the double jump. So you're gonna jump once and then jump again, and then at that point, depending on the stance, if you jump again, then that's kind of that's going to be which one Cloud Walker does. So it's not gonna actually see. It seems like is it a active ability or is it not? If you're in the off stance, the passive part of the second jump that you do will be, so it's kind of confusing, and I think we'll see that in action here a little bit more when we look at it. So it's going to be interesting. So there's the one jump and then the two jump there. So you can maybe see here, does he jump from the ledge or does he just fall? 1, 2, there you go, and then it doesn't really see. So you might have to press the spacebar 3 times in order to get that Cloud Walker passive, like whatever the off is or the def is. So it's kind of not really clear, you know, which one it's going to be. There is the Staff of the Legend in the defensive stance, and then there is one jump into. Okay, yeah. So yeah. Okay, so there you go. It is literally just a double jump. You jump once, and then when you jump again, that is when the Cloud Walker is decided. So if you jump once, that's your normal jump, and then you jump again after the end of the second jump, then you either walk on the air or you will come crashing to the ground to deal that damage. Now his ultimate is pretty darn cool. When it's called 84,000 hairs. When Wukong strikes a minion, hero, or structure, he will create a clone of himself. The clone cannot move and deals damage in a radius around itself. Damage dealt by clones is based on a percentage of Wukong's damage. You see that in effect on that Richter, and when the steel kind of comes to the steel's aid. Now, how much of a percentage? Not sure. Is it just a passive radiate sort of damage that's dealt? I'm not sure. Is it actually on when the clones actually hit? It's not really clear, and it just says deals damage in a radius around itself. Either way, it's going to be really, really cool. And Wukong is another melee carry here. Basically Yin really kind of isn't one, but Serath obviously is. So Serath, now we have Wukong in the melee carry role, which gives that a nice diversity. Yin, very, very much flexible. She's more ranged than anything, in my opinion. So I like that a new melee carry has come out. Finally, we have a nice, good set of ranged carries. We have some melee now. Yin can flip-flop, really, whatever she wants to do. But I think Wukong fills a different role. They say that he is a deadly and elusive melee carry. Yeah, yeah, Serath is elusive as well, but she's also durable. Now, how does Wukong compare against Serath? My gut is telling me that maybe he deals more damage than Serath, but is elusive, but isn't as tanky. He doesn't really have... See, I'm not sure, because then, like, that just seems totally overpowered. If he does more damage than Serath, but pays for it by not having invulnerability frame or any escapes, but he does have escapes. Like, he has crazy mobility. So I'm really not sure. On one hand, I'm like, well, maybe he does a crap ton of damage, but on the other hand, he has such amazing utility and ridiculous kind of synergies between all his abilities to use a gazillion different things. What's his numbers going to be like? I'm very excited for Wukong to see his numbers to do some math with him as well, as there isn't very many abilities here that kind of do a crazy amount of damage like it kind of seems. Like, yes, Staff of the Legend and Cloudwalker have a damaged part to it, but that's only if you're in that offensive stance. So to see those abilities, how much damage they deal with that ability damage, is going to be really interesting, as I still think he's just going to be a basic attack carry. Guys, what do you think of Wukong? He looks absolutely super interesting, super hard to play, to be honest with you. The skill cap, I think, is... When Yin came out, they were like, Yin is going to be an incredibly high skill cap hero. Compared to Yin, I think Wukong here is looking much, much more in depth than Yin is. And oh man, the plays, how getting used to Wukong, getting all of his defensive stances and offensive stances kind of in your muscle memory and switching between them. We don't know if there is a cooldown on like if you can just switch, if you can use, you know, square in your defensive and then you switch your stance and then you use your Staff of Legend defense over the opposite and then you switch again. Like, how fast can you switch? Is there a cooldown? How much of that craziness is going to be able to do on Wukong? Let me know, guys, down below what you guys think. Please like this video if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it, share it with the community, guys, and of course, subscribe. If you guys like this content, especially if you found it useful, there's much more on its way, and I would really like to be able to help you in the future. Till next time, like always, stay optimistic and positive.